Project number 1 is this leather quote sign that I saw in Magnolia Home. I loved it, but not $78 worth, and I wanted to be able to do my own quote. I thrifted this fake leather purse, but the good thing is that we all have old purses hanging out in our closet that you could probably use for this project. I cut a big piece off the back, and then I cut that piece down to the size I was going to need. I saved the scraps because I'm going to use them in the next project. I'll be stenciling my quote onto my project using Waverly Antique Wax, a small paintbrush, and this stencil that I found at Dollar Tree. Once I've placed my stencil for my first letter, I'm going to use some of the antique wax on my brush, and I'm going to use the least amount that I can possibly use on there so that it doesn't run underneath the stencil. The nice thing about using the fake leather is that if you make any mistakes, it's easy to just wipe it off with some water and a paper towel. I'm just eyeballing my letter placement here, so a couple of the letters were off. I wasn't happy with them, so I just wiped a few of them down and started over. You'll also get the best results by using a flat brush because you can use kind of a tapping motion. It really helps to keep the paint from going underneath the stencil. I got mine at Dollar Tree. It came in a pack with a couple other brushes, and it works great. As you can see here, the first coat is very light. You'll need several coats. I only used the stencil for the first coat. I let it dry completely, and then I did a couple more coats. I just filled it in freehand for the second and third coats with a really small brush. Another tip for painting with stencils is that you never want to lift straight up. You want to peel the stencil backwards so that you don't get the paint all over your project. Here's a close-up of the first coat. After you add a few more coats, it will look like this. How many coats you need to add to your letters is going to depend on how dark the piece of leather or faux leather that you're working with is. Now that my sign's finished, I felt like it still had a little too much length, so I'm just going to take the rest of it off right here. Just in case you're curious, my quote is from a poem by E.E. Cummings called "I Carry Your Heart With Me." I really love the touches of leather that Joanna Gains is using in her line right now. I also love that she's included this recycled green glass. I just think it's so beautiful. I picked these up at Goodwill for $2.49 and $1.49 for the smaller vase. Any vase, bottle, or jar will work for this project. It doesn't have to be recycled glass. I'm cutting another piece of faux leather from the same purse as the last project. I wrapped it around the neck of my bottle and I'm going to secure it with hot glue. It's still a little bit long, so I'm going to cut a little bit more off. If you are enjoying these projects, please hit subscribe and hit the little bell so you don't miss any future videos that I upload. What I liked about this diffuser is the simplicity. I'm recycling a jar again for this project. I bought this at Rayleigh's. It was holding peppercorns and it's the Rayleigh's brand. You'll need something small and round for this project. I used these junk jewelry earrings. I thought it would leave a nice pattern. I'll be using this Crayola air dry clay I got at Target because it's cheap, but any kind of air dry clay that you have would work for this project. You'll be pressing whatever round object that you choose into this clay, so you're going to want to cover it first with saran wrap so it doesn't stick. Take a piece of your air dry clay and roll it into a little ball, and then press your object into it until it's flat. Carefully remove it again. You don't need to let any time pass for this. You can just go ahead and take it right out. We're attaching our clay right away while it's wet so that it'll form to the bottle. So we're going to use a glue that's slower drying, like rubber cement or good old-fashioned Elmer's glue. Bamboo skewers work fine in water-based diffusers. I picked these up at Dollar Tree. I'm using my scissors to cut an inch or two off the pointy end. Then I can drop them straight into my jar. One more thing for this project, I didn't show a clip of it, sorry about that, but to smooth out the edges of this disc before I glued it on, I dipped my finger in some water and ran it around the edges. All of my projects today were part of the Look for Less challenge, hosted by Yami at the Latina next door. I'll put a link to her channel below in the description box, along with her co-host, Leonep, over at DIY Beauty on Purpose. I am a subscriber and a huge fan of both of their channels. I will also include a link to the playlist so that you can see everybody's projects who participated in this challenge. It is the perfect binge watch because it is packed with talented DIYers. Thank you so much for joining me here on Lazy DIY. I'm Tanya. I have lots more videos coming up that you're going to love, so hit subscribe and ring the little bell so you don't miss any of them, and I will see you again soon.